Hello and welcome to my channel, The Rusted Brush. My name is Raphael. This will be first of many videos on the GrimDark genre. This video is not specifically tailored to any sort of hobby like Warhammer or RPGs. This is meant to encompass any want for the Grimdark and where to begin and expand your knowledge on the Grimdark. So to start with, what is the Grimdark? Before I start talking on where to begin, I think we should give a definition to this term. If you haven't heard the term, or maybe you have, but unsure what it exactly means, the long form of that answer is that it doesn't have one true definition. There are a lot of different arguments for what it is. I don't want to go through every definition of it. It's just going to complicate it, make more arguments, that sort of thing. It's just going to be harder for you to get into the Grimdark setting. Now, the short answer is that it's the subgenre of fiction that's setting, aesthetic, or tone is a dark, gritty, a nihilistic dystopia, and nonsensical. The amount of other words, ways to describe it are numerous, and I don't want to push every term I can find into that definition. First, let me cover what I mean by nonsensical when I said that. Like the steampunk genre, to really convey the aesthetic and tone, they have gadgets or paraphernalia that has no reason to be there. It has no purpose to us that we see, it's over-engineered or exaggerated. The steampunk genre can have tons of cogs, gears, lenses upon lenses, that sort of thing. The GrimDark has the same thing going on. Rusted armor that shouldn't function, gas masks with multiple tubes, candles melting on the shoulders of a uniform, and plenty of mud and grime. GrimDark doesn't have to entail the entire piece of a media. It can be the tone for an episode in a show, a background theme in a book, a specific location in a setting. A good example of this is the original Planescape setting for Dungeons & Dragons. Planescape is very grimdark, but most other settings in D&D are not. The other thing to keep in mind is that not everything that is dark is grimdark. The opposite can be true too. A character can be uplifting, heroic, morally good, not depressing. Yet, the rest of that media can be still grimdark. An example of this are the salamanders from Warhammer 40k. They're depicted as heroes and saviors to citizens, but in contrast to all the good they do, the rest of the 40k universe is bleak and most obvious setting of grimdarkness. Fiction that's based on history is an odd thing to describe as grimdark, but there are plenty of examples where I would consider the tone grimdark or has elements that are grimdark, but not every piece of media that inspires you has to be grimdark either. I find inspiration from uplifting stories, high fantasy settings, then I add grimdark elements onto that for my project. So you have a definition for grimdark now. You've heard it used before, you've seen some media with the tones or settings of grimdark, you've been inspired to do something with that style. Now what? Expand your knowledge of the grimdark. The best way I find to absorb that knowledge is by using different sources of media. Books, video games, artwork, miniatures, and film. Most people hear about the term grimdark from the 40k universe, which named it. 40k's lore and setting is expansive, and I've been playing it for about 18 years, and there's still a lot I don't even know. It's a great source of inspiration, but I want to show other sources. I'm going to recommend a book, video game, artist, miniature artist, and a film to help inspire and to give you a branch to start with in the world of the grimdark. So, let's start with a book. My book of choice is The Hard to Be God by the S.T.A.L.K.E.R brothers. It's a very interesting read. It's about an alien planet that's inhabited by humans who have not advanced past the Middle Ages. It's a very, very bleak and gritty world. I highly recommend reading the book. There's a movie too, but the problem with the movie is visually amazing. It's great for visuals, but hard to follow plot-wise and everything like that. Definitely look at their other works too, like Roadside Picnic. My video game recommendation is going to be the first Fallout game. In comparison to the other Fallout games, the first one is way more dark and bleak. The other games have a little more uplifting or comical moments at times. It can take away from the grimdark tone that the original one does have compared to the others. The visuals, the soundtrack, the story, they're perfect for the grimdark in my mind. If you don't like the gameplay of Fallout 1, I recommend watching a Let's Play of it on YouTube. Honestly, it's great. My artist of choice is pretty well known, and it's a kind of an obvious one if you know a little bit about the grimdark. It's H.R. Giger. Giger's artwork is fantastic. His work is captivating. It's uncomfortable. It makes you want to keep looking, but you don't like it. I don't have too much else to say on his work. It speaks for itself. It's perfect inspiration for anything grimdark. Highly recommend getting one of his art books like the Necronomicon. They're fantastic. Now, miniature artist. This one was hard. There's a lot of good grimdark miniature painters and sculptors out there, but I think Gardens of Hecate is one of the best. Her sculpting and painting are just phenomenal, and she's even really dialed in on stylizing her own way of doing grimdark miniatures. It's not dedicated to any brand either. It's not only Turnip28, there's Morkborg, there's 40k, a lot of different things. She has a great website that has awesome tutorials, which are super invaluable. I'll have a link to her website and Instagram in the description. And lastly, film. My choice is On the Silver Globe, written and directed by Andrzej Żuławski. It's a movie based on the novel trilogy known as the Lunar Trilogy. It's about a planet similar to Earth where astronauts crash land onto it and begin a new human race. I don't want to spoil too much, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. The visuals are just so good, it's extremely captivating and unique. It's not very well known, both that and the book, very underrated, so I highly recommend it. So those are my recommendations to start your journey into the grimdark genre. There are plenty more sources that I could have shared, and in other videos I'll be doing that. I hope this has been helpful to those who don't know anything about the grimdark or looking to learn more about it. I'm hoping to make a lot more content on the grimdark setting, so make sure that you keep following my channel, subscribe, like, and comment so you can see more of that kind of stuff. Next video I plan on delving into what I consider to be inspirations for the grimdark setting, but not grimdark at all. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, like, comment, subscribe, follow my Instagram. I'm going to be posting creations there, and I offer a commission service there as well, painting, making miniatures as well, warbands, and that sort of thing. Take care, and I hope you enjoyed the video.